remember that being in my middle school too. There was like, for some reason, I don't know, they wanted the students...
Smoking or walking out?
No, some of the students smoking. or walking out. Both, I guess.
You know what? I have walked out in a walkout once or twice, or a sit-in, just because I love fucking chaos. I didn't know what we were doing it for, but I was like, fuck yeah, let's go.
I believe that.
I'm in for the ride. Let's go.
Moving on to... Welcome to Can We Talk About? A weekly podcast where we dive into discussions on varying topics and find ourselves in different waters than where we started. I'm Johnny5 and my co-host is CatEaterr, and today we talk about the assassination of Fred Hampton, the court case that followed his death, and how to grow corn in plastic tubs. You can email us at cwtabout@gmail.com, and we hope you enjoy the show today. I want to outline a little bit of my thoughts with this. I had problems coming up with it at first because I understand that I'm going to be coming with a bias. And that bias is that I full-fledged believe that this man is just fantastic. Like, most of this, I don't have any questions, right?
Well, it's a kiddie pool, so it's fine.
Yeah. But he gets me inspired anytime I learn about him. And I understand that, like, if I'm going to be going through a court case and all that kind of stuff later on, spoilers alerts, I need to remove that. So what I have is his entire life, right? And then on top of that, I'm gonna just basically read from Wikipedia for the assassination shit. Okay. Now, all of that is ahead of time.
Okay.
We're talking about Fred Hampton there.
Yeah, I don't know who he is, so this is a good note of the whole, like, we're not professionals portion of our thing, you know? We are not pretending to know more than we know.
Correct.
That's a good reminder of that, because I don't know who the fuck this is.
Wait, you don't even remember?
I mean, like, you told me somewhat, but other than what you told me when you said you wanted to do Fred Hampton...
That's it?
Absolutely not. I don't know who this guy is.
Cool.
He's black?
Correct, yes.
I know that.
All right.
But that's because you told me that.
I love this. This is great. All right. So I've been wanting to cover this man's story ever since I first heard about him in 2021. And that was basically from a book. There was a book that I read that was called Blink. And it was like psychology and going through... and I think it also was like talking to strangers. But it was essentially at some point in this book, it was basically saying like... There's a test that you can take, and it basically it gives you different words and all that kind of stuff. And eventually it gets to a point where the second portion or the third portion of the test splits it in between stuff that's more white culture, stuff that's more black culture. And for some reason, subconsciously, at least in America and probably around the world, black culture is looked at as like a negative. You have a negative response to that kind of shit. And it's not really, even if you're not consciously thinking about it.
White people specifically have or just like everybody?
Overall. Oh yeah, overall.
Whoa, like even black people?
Correct.
Whoa.
So, I mean, it's not as bad for most black people, but overall, if you live in America, it's the area that you live in, basically. And that's because of the movies that we have, the TVs, it's
the culture we create.
Yeah. And so the only way to fix that is to learn about these kinds of guys, these stories. Like, you know, if you learn about MLK and then you take the test and it's in your head, you have a more positive outlook. Right?
That makes sense.
Yeah. So you'll actually, like, you know, you won't look at them as like a fucking asshole, or, you know, you won't have bad taste. I guess that's like that's like the lower end bad taste, you know what I mean. Okay. So anyways, that's my little rendition of how I discovered him. Now, I'm sure there's many people out there that know it already and think, how could you not know? Like, that's how I feel about learning about this guy. And it's just incredible that, you know, like if the FBI wants something, they're just going to get it. And they're going to keep everybody away. I don't know. I have no proof that the FBI is, like, you know, behind all of the like what we get to learn in high school, but it's definitely like, you know, the only little bit of like African American culture or the civil rights shit. It was like a blip in time in my history class.
No, 100%. The FBI totally gets what they want. I mean, that's what happened to Tesla, is something happened to Tesla, and then they took all the shit and put it in a warehouse, and it was never seen again.
Right, that's fair. Yeah, I guess they already had like the water-powered car or whatever the fuck. Yeah.
They do that shit all the time.
So I feel you, and that is why we're hopefully going to bring this to light. All right, so I guess this question doesn't really fit because now I know you actually haven't. You just don't. There's nothing in your head about him?
No, I mean, if you really wanted me to make an ass of myself, I can really throw some shit out there like, I don't know, did he have to do with peanut butter or the telephone? But, I mean, I don't...
No.
I have nothing.
All right, cool.
And honestly, it's been long enough since we discussed it. I barely remember what the hell you told me about him. I know he did some shit. There was a court case. He got assassinated because of what he did. I think he was a civil rights leader. Something about Black Panthers. That's what I've got.
Okay, that's good. That's all I need. I was like, I hope that she remembers that it was like Black Panther and that kind of stuff.
There you go.
I also didn't learn much about that, so it's kind of fun to learn about that just in general. Yeah. So I'm basically just going to give a bunch of facts about his life. If you have any questions at all, just,
hell yeah, bullet spit that shit out. I love it.
So he was born in 1948, August 30th. I know that that's kind of like, that's the European way of talking about that, but...
Okay.
And he was born in Summit, Argo, Illinois, which is like a Chicago suburb.
Okay.
And then he was raised in Maywood, like after the age of 10. He grew up with a brother Bill, a sister Dee Dee, and I just wanted to add that because I really like Dee Dee, at least the name. And according to Britannica.com, Emmett Till was an acquaintance of his.
Oh.
Do you know Emmett Till?
I know the name.
Do you know why you know the name?
Nope.
Okay, so...
Was he part of the Six? The Chicago Six? I don't know. Who's Emmett Till?
Oh, man, I should have done that. Okay, so I know that he gets... I don't think he's a part of the Six. Because at least the little bit that I did look into him, it sounded like it was a one-off kind of thing. Yeah, I think the Six that you're talking about, they actually went through a court case, and they're still alive. No. Okay, so he's definitely not a part of them because Emmett Till, was it like an acquaintance of his? The Hamptons would have Till over to like hang out for a while. His Fred Allen Hampton's mom would babysit him. And unfortunately, in 1955, when Fred was almost 7 years old, it was like 2 days before he turned 7.
He was like... Okay, go ahead.
He was a what?
Nothing, go ahead.
Okay. Emmett was lynched by some of the locals. Yeah. So his death would spark a growing civil rights movement and is at least a glimpse of some of the things that Fred saw early on that most likely played a role in him becoming an activist. Because, I mean, I don't know. It's just crazy, the amount of things that he saw in his life.
When you are surrounded by injustice, you decide eventually, some people decide that they just have to do something about it.
Yeah. Personally, like, I think activism is in the blood, but I do think events, like, spark the drive inside you.
I agree with that.
So, you probably would be an activist, but if the world is perfect, then you don't really have anything to complain about.
Man, you'd be restless and not know why.
Yeah. So, at the age of 10... he started hosting weekend breakfasts for children in his neighborhood. And he'd cook the meals like himself.
That's so fun.
Yeah. And then in high school, he was a beast in high school. He organized a student section of the NAACP. He served on the school's interracial cross-section committee, where they'd try to help white kids with their racist beliefs by talking about it.
Dang.
He led walkouts in his high school for various things, excluding the black students getting excluded from homecoming queen, unjust arrests of fellow students, and then also asking the school to hire more black teachers and staff.
I'm sure that the teachers were absolutely pissed that students were walking the fuck out.
Oh, fuck
That's sarcasm.
Yeah, I bet.
The amount that I see them push them as fast and quickly as they can onto us. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
They'd be like, great, pulls out pipe because it's still early enough in time that we can smoke in schools.
You know, it's funny that you mentioned that.
I get a break.
Moving on to college, he wanted to major in law so that he could help defend black people in court for unjust arrests.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That's a job that's going to make him want to shoot himself, but that's fine.
That's fair.
Yeah. Even now. You know?
Yeah.
Fuck.
In his first year out of high school, he led a series of rallies fighting for a racially integrated public pool in Maywood. The closest pool was only for whites, and that one was 3.2 kilometers away, which is 2 miles.
Thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome. Away, while the closest racially integrated pool was 8 kilometers away, which is 5 miles.
We're going to do this, huh?
Yeah.
This is going to be... Okay.
If I get the reins, I get to...
All right.
I'm trying to learn.
Okay.
I'm getting better at it. All right?
Okay.
I tell myself that.
You know what? You're bringing the translation in for feet, so it's fine. Or miles, or whatever.
While he and a bunch of other people were arrested for disorderly conduct and mob action, which is still unclear who even broke windows and whatnot, they were successful in getting the pool. Today, it's known as the Fred Hampton's Family Aquatic Center.
Okay, we're not going to dive deeper into... Like, so what? They wrecked the place, and then they were like, okay, yeah, we'll let everybody come.
Well, that's the thing. That's what's irritating about it, is that there's... From my perspective...
Which, that sounded a little judgy, but...
No,
listen,
that's fair.
I can understand... What was it Martin Luther King said? He said... Jr. He said... Sorry to throw into the junior, like we didn't know who the hell I was talking about. He said something about, like, what is violence but peaceful protest that has fallen on deaf ears? Or something like that. Where it's like... You know, they're trying to do it the right way and you're not fucking listening, so eventually they get mad enough to do it, quote unquote, the wrong way. You know what I mean? So, in no way am I judging that the place got all smashed up and stuff. But, like, you're just like, yeah, it got smashed up, so I'm just asking, you know.
I'm saying that because there, like, in this entire story, there is basically, like, 2 stories. I guess 3. There's what actually happened. There's what the Panthers would tell you, and then there's what... And at this time, admittedly, he's not a part of the Panthers yet. But there's... I guess it would be what the people are telling you, and then there's what the cops are telling you. And it's infuriating that the entire time the cops are like, oh, no, well, you know, you fucked up. But they're also doing this extra bullshit on the side.
Right.
So, personally... I think what was happening is there's rallies that are going on peacefully, and then you get enough people that are like in the same area, and then you know your local white guy or lady or whoever the fuck will be like, oh my god, we need to do something about this. Call the cops, and then the cops will just show up and rough some shit up. So maybe they did break some windows and they got upset. But also, I wouldn't be surprised if, you know, some cops came in and started breaking some shit, too.
Right. The whole thing escalated.
Yeah. So, because at this time, this is, like, you know, 68, because he graduated in 66. So maybe this actually might be 67. It's somewhere right around there. So basically, civil rights shit is just starting, and cops are still, like... super fucked up like during that time. So it's I don't know. It's like I said, I guess that's probably why I left it out, is because if I were to read it from like Wikipedia or some article, it would probably say they showed up, but it always goes to the last part. It's like, okay, well, yes, 17 people were arrested, he was arrested, and there were windows that were broken, but
what happened
nobody knows
between showing up at that.
Exactly. Nobody knows. Because what you'll get is what the cops will say, but if you ask all the witnesses, there's a totally different story.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing we'll find out later for basically the assassination thing, too.
Okay.
So a year following the rallies, Fred begins connecting... Oh, and I guess I did mention... Yeah, I didn't put it in here, but yeah, 17 people, including himself, and I think they were supposed to get like 2 years or something like that. It was really stupid. So
Damn.
yeah, for I don't know. Well, maybe not that. No, that's later down the road. Never mind. I don't know how long he was supposed to get. That's the other thing in this is that the timelines kind of don't really make sense in my head because they'll say that like, oh, he got arrested and then convicted, and then like you'll hear him be in a different place other than jail like 6 months later. So I don't know if he got like broken out or if the one that I'm about to like that I'll lead up to in particular, that one is bullshit, and you know I can kind of see maybe him getting off eventually. So
I don't know. Maybe sentencing was postponed, or
that could be it.
I mean, just because the punishment could have not been time, it could have been money or volunteer work, or
that's fair.
You know what I mean? It could have been something other than time in jail/prison.
Yeah,
but I don't know.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I'm at. I'm like, I don't know. I would think, at least from hearing how this guy works, I just don't see him like just busting out or, you know, breaking out and being on the run. Even though, you know, there was obviously like a whole group of people that are looking for this guy because God forbid you have some civil rights movement going on, but
God forbid.
So anyways, I guess continuing, and hopefully it'll make more sense down the road. A year following the rallies, Fred begins connecting more and more to the Black Panther Party rather than the NAACP, which kind of makes sense. You know, you get a little bit more radical, or at least you want to get something that's stronger.
You need tangible change to happen.
Yeah.
And what he had seen with his own eyes was that violence had gotten the change he wanted. And you can use your brain still, but on that back burner side of it, you know, we are still animals, and that's how you learn. You know?
If you,
I tried this and tried this and tried this, and it didn't work, and then I tried this and it did.
Yeah. Well, and the speed at which going the quote-unquote right way goes is so slow, and then the successes that you get, you have to remind yourself that like this is a big victory, even if it is small, because at least it's going in the right direction. But you know, if we just started causing a ruckus and all that kind of stuff, we'll probably get put away for a little bit, but at least they'll understand that they have to do some shit. So
I mean, how much ruckus did we have to fucking put forward for them to put, you know, people in jail for murdering a man in cold blood on the street? You know,
right? And
in 2020, like,
and in my head, it's like if we didn't do any of that, would he just be another statistic? Like,
yes,
would that guy that guy wouldn't even be arrested?
I absolutely believe that.
I do too. Yeah. I think that, you know, oh my God, these, you know, judges and all that kind of stuff are superior and they're supposed to be able to. No, they watch the news just like anybody else. Like, So he started reading about the communist revolutionists like Che Guevara, Ho Chi Minh, and Mao Zedong. Yeah.
Nice.
And I know that I messed up his name in the China series, but it is Mao Zedong. So
that's so good. Do it one more time. What's his name?
Mao Zedong.
Yeah, thanks.
It's fun. And finding that he liked the socialist ideas that came from all of those leaders. So a group focused on arming black communities. Sorry, that's a big fuck up. And teaching self-determination and critiquing the status quo was perfect for him. So within 2 months of joining, Hampton was accused of assaulting an ice cream truck driver, stealing $71 worth of ice cream, and handing it out to the local kids.
Can you repeat that?
He was accused of assaulting an ice cream truck driver, stealing $71 worth of ice cream.
Okay, taking the money and then handing out the ice cream.
Taking the ice cream, yeah.
And the money.
No, $71 worth of ice cream.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so he just took the ice cream.
Yep, and handed it out to the local kids. Now, what do you think is a reasonable punishment for stealing $71? And I guess this is also assault, so I guess maybe...
Yeah, there's assault. But how much was it actually assault?
Right,
You
exactly.
know what I mean? Like, if you just shoved him, it counts as assault, but it's actually assault.
It's an ice cream. In my head, it's an ice cream truck driver. You don't really have to. I mean, yeah, it's their livelihood, I guess, but I guess it is their livelihood. I don't know. I don't
Definitely
feel,
their livelihood. They don't make a whole lot. Well, they do now. They're charging fucking $8
But
for
I think if they see that you're starting to hand it out, like in my head, and I guess okay. So this is the other.
I probably just wouldn't have called the cops and been like, okay, so you owe me this, and then next week, if you haven't provided me the money for the ice cream you just took and handed out, then I'll call the cops. That's what I would have done.
And that's the Black Panther story, is that they talked to the ice cream truck driver prior to that, and then, they started handing out ice cream, but some white people saw that they were just a bunch of black people handing out ice cream to kids, and they got scared, so they called the cops.
That's so scary to see people handing ice cream out to kids. I mean,
do you see what I'm saying?
What is the world coming to?
One side saying that there was assault and there was theft and there was it was harsh, and then the other side is saying, dude, you're full of shit.
Well, what'd the ice cream truck driver say?
He was also cool with it.
Well, then what are we even doing?
Exactly. So, but what would you say for that? How
like a reasonable punishment via the law? Okay, I'm trying to take out the fact that this is racist white people against a black dude. I don't know. Community service.
2 to 5 years in prison.
Wow, man.
Yep. And this is that piece where I'm like, all right, that's completely fucked up.
That's pretty nuts.
So, at this point in time, I'm gonna start talking about the assassination. This particular case, where he gets 2 to 5 years for something that, I mean, the assault gets put down. Like they had no evidence for that shit, so it is literally just the theft.
Wow.
And they still go for the 2 to 5 years. So I think on this one in particular, he's able to get off. It just seems like a slam dunk. Right? It's a slam dunk.
Yes.
If there's no, okay, yeah, sure, he did steal that much money, or that much, stock.
Ice cream.
But go fuck yourself.
Yeah, man.
It's not worth that. So, at this point in time, basically, if I were to share his entire story, the FBI has set up this little group or organization called COINTELPRO.
Okay.
And their whole... Yeah, I guess the whole purpose of that organization is to go after people that they just deemed were the worst against the government. Okay. So in this particular case, they had a list of black leaders that were including MLK, Fred Hampton. There was a couple other names.
Crazy we never figured out who killed MLK, isn't it?
Well, I mean... Right. I mean, we did.
Right.
I believe so.
Right.
Yeah. But it is crazy that we don't learn about that in school, though.
Yeah.
We do learn about, and I guess to clarify, we do learn about him. We just don't learn about how the fuck he ended.
Yeah, it's anti-advertised,
Right. So, while Hampton was in California in November 1969, 2 Chicago police officers, John J. Gilhooly.
Damn, that's a name.
That's a great name. It might just be Gilhooly, but I like that one better. Frank G. Rappaport were killed in a gun battle with Panthers on the night of November 13th. One died the next day. A total of 9 police officers were shot. Spurgeon Winter Jr., a 19-year-old Panther, was killed by police. Another Panther, Lawrence S. Bell, was charged with murder. In an unsigned editorial headline, "No Quarter for Wild Beasts," the Chicago Tribune urged that Chicago police officers approaching suspected Panthers should be ordered to be ready to shoot. As part of the larger COINTELPRO operation, the FBI was determined to prevent any improvement in the effectiveness of the BPP leadership, the Black Panther Party. The FBI orchestrated an armed raid with the Chicago police and state attorney on Hampton's Chicago apartment. They had obtained detailed information about the apartment, including a layout of furniture from O'Neill. At this point, I guess I should clarify, O'Neill is an informant that they had.
Oh, okay.
And he basically became super good friends with Fred Hampton. Spoiler alert, he ends up killing himself later because of...
Feeling real bad.
Yeah. So, an augmented 14-man team of the SAO, which I guess is the state's Special Prosecutions Unit, was organized for a pre-dawn raid. They were armed with a search warrant for illegal weapons, which I guess is probably fair because they did have weapons, but they probably got it legally. I don't know. So,
who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe not.
Yeah, maybe not. And good for them. They just wanted to... The whole point for the Black Panther Party was arm black people and self-determination, all that kind of stuff.
Well, I don't think any arms should be obtained illegally. That being said, yes.
Yeah, that's fair.
I understand the point of... like what I understood Black Party shit to be was arm black people, don't start shit, but finish shit. Yeah, that's what I understood it to be.
I will say, like, okay, so I'm not black, obviously, but
no,
yeah, but he if you got to listen to any of his, actually, you know what? That's what I'll do real quick. There's a quote from him, and I understand. I'm not going to say like the substance that he has. It's probably nothing that you haven't already heard. But it still invigorated me because it felt like I was also included, right? Like, it wasn't just, come on, like, you know.
That was the power of MLK for me, too, though, was he was just like, I just want all of us to get along. You know, it wasn't anybody's better than anybody, because even though I can all day long say, oh, women are better than men, and I may or may not believe that on some days, but deep at my core, we're all just fucking people and need to be treated like fucking people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, this is, I don't know where this is, like, as far as which...
The context before and after kind of thing.
Right, but this is just him talking about solidarity. So, we gotta face some facts. That the masses are poor, that the masses belong to what you call the lower class. And when I talk about the masses, I'm talking about the white masses. I'm talking about the black masses and the brown masses and the yellow masses too. We've got to face the fact that some people say you fight fire best with fire, but we say you put fire out best with water. We say don't fight racism with racism. We're going to fight racism with solidarity. We say you don't fight capitalism with no black capitalism. You fight capitalism with socialism. So yeah, I don't know. And then on top of that, he also... Right now, I'm going to bring us to December 3rd of 1969, which is when he gets murdered. But
not nice.
No, yeah. But in that year, he had a rally where he started fighting for. He basically put down sexism. He was like, "It's misogynistic."
Nice.
Jesus,
you got there.
Yeah, and then like basically a year after that, next year, 40 to 70%, depending on where you. Like which group you were looking at or where they were made of women in the Black Panther Party after that, which was really cool. So super inspirational, super fucked up. Okay, so on the evening of December 3rd, Hampton taught a political education course at a local church, which was attended by most Panther members. Afterward, as was typical, he was accompanied to his Monroe Street apartment by Johnson and several Panthers. I believe... I don't know who Johnson is. So, there's that.
A friend.
Yeah. Blair Anderson, James Grady, Ronald Doc Satchel, Harold Bell, Verlina Brewer, Louis Trulock, Brenda Harris, and Mark Clark, which is just fun to say.
Nice.
So, O'Neill was already there, having prepared a late dinner with the group, which the group ate around midnight. O'Neill had slipped the secobarbital, so a drug, into a drink that Hampton consumed during the dinner in order to sedate Hampton so he would not awake during the subsequent raid. O'Neill left after the dinner. At about 1:30 a.m. December 4th, Hampton fell asleep mid-sentence while talking to his mother on the telephone. Although Hampton was not known to take drugs, Cook County chemist Eleanor Berman later reported that she had run 2 tests, which each showed evidence of barbiturates in Hampton's blood. An FBI chemist failed to find similar traces.
Of course they found barbiturates. Are you kidding me? He put a barbiturate in him.
Yeah, well, and that's because I'm explaining the story. Like, afterward. This is all through Wikipedia, so I'm apologizing ahead of time.
No, that's fine, but obviously they found barbiturates in his blood because the guy gave him barbiturates before the
Correct.
thing.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
But the FBI didn't want people to know that.
Oh, I see.
They wanted the FBI is trying to come up with a story explaining that. Well, and I guess we haven't gone through the court case, but there's basically a newspaper that comes out. There's two newspapers. One of them is the one that you expect, where they're like, "Give me the scoop, Sonny. I just really need anything just so that way I can come up with something." And they are the ones that first give the story of, oh my God, the cops, there was a bunch of black people that were shooting at them, and so they had to kill them. And
first story's the one that sticks, though.
Right. And then the second story but the second one was from a much more reliable source. And that one was the one that was saying, like, no, this is fucked up. Like, if you go to the scene, you fucking idiots, like, you'll see that there's bullet holes only going out. Or, I mean, in. Sorry.
In. Yeah, so one was Daily Mail, and the other one was the New York Times.
Correct, yes.
Okay.
Pretty much. And it's funny, because it's called, I think it was called, like, Chicago Tribune or something like that. And if I'm getting that wrong, if that's the correct one, then I apologize. I don't live in Chicago. Sue me.
Please don't.
Don't. Yeah, we don't have enough money to cover that.
We don't have any money to do any of that. I don't even have enough money to think about being sued. Ugh. Okay.
And now back to our sponsor. No. The Office of Cook County State's Attorney Edward Hanrahan,
nice.
I think it's Hanrahan, organized the raid using officers attached to his office. Hampton had recently strongly criticized Hanrahan, saying that Hanrahan's talk about a war on gangs was really rhetoric used to enable him to carry out a war on black youth. At 4, and just the energy that I get from it, I believe that. So at 4 a.m., the heavily armed police team arrived at the site, divided into 2 teams, 8 for the front of the building and 6 for the rear. At 4:45, they stormed the apartment. Mark Clark, sitting in the front room of the apartment with a shotgun on his lap, was on security duty. The police shot him in the chest, killing him instantly. An alternative account said that Clark answered the door and police immediately shot him. Either way, Clark's gun discharged once into the ceiling. This single round was fired when he suffered a reflexive death convulsion after being shot.
Damn.
This was the only shot fired by the Panthers. And it's proven. Like, if you go, they basically have
forensics go in.
Well, not just that. Like, all of the Panthers are just devastated about this. And they just have, like, it's an open... It's like almost like a museum. You can literally go into where he was shot and look, and there it's open. Like, I think they still take tours there, too.
Damn.
Like, it's nuts. And so, just to prove, like, because they're not...
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah, they're not aggressive.
They weren't aggressive at the time.
Thank you. Hampton, drugged by barbiturates, was sleeping on a mattress in the bedroom with Johnson, who was 9 months... Okay, so this is his wife. Who was 9 months pregnant with their child. Police officers removed her from the room while Hampton lay unconscious in the bed. Then the raiding team fired at the head of the south bedroom. Hampton was wounded in the shoulder by the shooting. According to the National Archives and Records Administration, upon that discovery, an officer shot him twice in his head and killed him.
What the fuck?
Fellow Black Panther Harold Bell said that he heard the following exchange. "That's Fred Hampton? Is he dead? Bring him out. He's barely alive. He'll make it." The injured Panthers said they heard 2 shots. According to Hampton's supporters, the shots were fired point blank at Hampton's head. According to Johnson, an officer then said, "He's good and dead now." Hampton's body was dragged into the doorway of the bedroom and left in a pool of blood. The officers directed their gunfire at the remaining Panthers who had been sleeping in the north bedroom. Satchel, Anderson, Brewer, and Harris. Brewer, Satchel, Anderson, and Harris were seriously wounded, then beaten and dragged into the street. They were arrested on charges of aggravated assault and attempted murder of the officers. They were each held on a $100,000 bail. In the early 1990s, Jose Chacha Jimenez,
fuck yeah,
a former president and co-founder of the Young Lords, who had developed close ties to Hampton and the Chicago Black Panther Party during the late 60s, interviewed Johnson about the raid. Before I go into that, I will also add, he started the first, I think it's like Blind Colorless Coalition or something like that. It was basically after, I want to say he did it in Chicago, but the reason he was in California was because he was trying to work on doing this exact same thing in California, where it was basically bringing gangs together. It was like, hey, what the fuck are we doing? Like,
yeah.
Let's actually be...
We need to be together, not split amongst each other.
Right. And we actually need to be doing, like, some good shit rather than just hurting ourselves.
Yeah.
So...
This is what they want.
Correct. So, she said, whoever... let me see. Johnson, his wife. Yeah. She said, I believe Fred Hampton was drugged. The reason why is because when he woke up, when the person, Truelock, said, Chairman, he was shaking Fred's arm. You know, Fred's arm was folded across the head of the bed. And Fred, he just raised his head up real slow. It was like watching a slow motion. His eyes were open. He raised his head up real slow, you know, with his eyes toward the entranceway, toward the bedroom, and laid his head back down. That was the only movement he made.
Damn.
The 7 Panthers who survived the raid were indicted by a grand jury on charges of attempted murder, armed violence, and various other weapons charges. These charges were subsequently dropped during the trial. Okay, yeah. So I mean, I guess this is a spoiler alert. Next episode, if we do one on the court case, there's a book that goes into the court case. There's basically a dude that like met him right before he died and got inspired, and so I think he actually also knew him from law school too, because he basically while Fred Hampton was in law school, he got a bunch of ties. He got, connections and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. And so this guy in particular is like, gets a bunch of his classmates together, and then kind of, I think he gets like a couple veterans or, like veteran lawyers together, and is like, well, we want to be a part of the Black Panther Party's, like, own lawyers. We want to be their lawyers for them.
That makes sense. Yeah, dedicated. And retainers.
Right, yeah. Yeah. And so it's just really cool that he was like so inspired by him that when he passed away, he was like, all right, this is my time to shine. I need to do this shit. So he was the main driving force. It's the only reason why we know what the fuck we know. Yeah. It's really incredible. So, I mean, aside from obviously...
Well, good witnesses. On you, dude.
Fuck yeah, whoever the fuck he is. So, yeah, they were indicted by a grand jury on charges of attempted murder, armed violence, and various other weapon charges. They were dropped. During the trial, the Chicago Police Department claimed that the Panthers were the first to fire shots. But a later investigation found that the Chicago police fired between 90 and 99 shots, while the only Panthers shot was from Clark's dropped gun.
Damn.
And there's only, 10 of them in that apartment?
Yeah.
Yeah. So after the raid, the apartment was left unguarded. The Panthers sent some members to investigate, accompanied by videographer Mike Gray and stills photographer Norris McNamara.
That's experience right there. Record the whole thing,
Yep. Yeah, and I think that's why they kept it open for everyone. They were like, no, fuck this. Like, we'll show you. This footage was instrumental in proving the raid was an assassination. The footage was later released as part of the 1971 documentary, The Murder of Fred Hampton. After a break-in at an FBI office in Pennsylvania, the existence of COINTELPRO, an illegal counterintelligence program, was revealed and reported. With this program revealed, many activists and others began to suspect that the police raid and Hampton's killing were conducted under this program. One of the documents released after the break-in was a floor plan of Hampton's apartment. Another document outlined a deal that the FBI brokered with U.S. Deputy Attorney General Richard Kleindienst. Yeah, we'll go with that. Yeah. To conceal the FBI's role in Hampton's death in the existence of COINTELPRO.
Dang, man.
So do you want the aftermath as well? I mean, I might as well just wrap it up.
Yeah.
All right. At a press conference the next day, the police announced the arrest team had been attacked by the violent and extremely vicious Panthers.
Of course.
And defended themselves accordingly. In a second press conference on December 8th, the police leadership praised the assault team for their remarkable restraint, bravery, and professional discipline in not killing all the Panthers present.
Wow.
Photographic evidence was presented of bullet holes allegedly made by shots fired by the Panthers, but reporters soon challenged this claim. An internal investigation was undertaken, and the police claimed that their colleagues on the assault team were exonerated of any wrongdoing, concluding that they used lawful means to overcome the assault.
What the hell?
So, 5,000 people attended Hampton's funeral. He was eulogized by black leaders including Jesse Jackson, Ralph Abernathy, Martin Luther King. His successor as head of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference.
Damn.
In his eulogy, Jackson said that when Fred was shot in Chicago, black people in particular and decent people in general bled everywhere. On December 6th, members of the Weather Underground destroyed numerous police vehicles in a retaliatory bombing spree at, a particular street in Chicago. And then the police called their raid on Hampton's apartment a shootout. The Black Panthers called it a shoot-in because so many shots were fired by police. I'll keep it there. To finish it off, it wasn't until, I want to say, like the 90s or maybe even the 2000s that the Chicago police finally accepted that they were wrong. And so now, I think it's either December 3rd, I think it's his death day, is basically Fred Hampton Day in Chicago.
Good.
Well, yeah, and then that's great. It just sucks that, like...
But who's that really helping? What's that actually doing?
Exactly.
Nothing. It's...
So, a part of me would really love to go to Chicago to see if they know about him, like if city schools get taught about him. And then another part of me, it feels the same way as you do, where it's just like, well, great, now I know about this dude. And that's fucking shit.
They probably do. I mean, because it's Fred Allen Hampton Day. You know what I mean? Like, they probably discuss it because of that. But, I mean, what's that doing? You know? Like,
yeah.
Like, it's like when you give a kid a sticker after you set their arm in a fucking cast. You know, it's like, the bone's not unbroken.
Right.
Your sticker makes the kid feel better, but it's not fixing anything.
Right. And that pool...
It's not doing anything.
I think that pool was named after him because it wasn't finished. He never got to swim in it.
Damn, man. That's fucked up.
Yeah.
God dang it, man.
It wasn't... basically, he got the balls rolling for getting the pool going. Man. But it wasn't finished by the time that he because he died at 21. That's what sucks about his story too. It is so short.
Imagine what he would have gotten done.
Exactly. It's just infuriating. I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm also happy that other people can hear about this guy because I don't know. I just feel like he's one of those guys that everybody should know. But it just sucks.
I fucking hate it. It makes me so mad. But, no. But I don't know. Like, it's like putting the flag at half-mast after the Texas thing. You know, the shooting of the school. It's like, it's not doing anything. Like, you do these things that make us feel like you're doing something, but you're not. And at some point, that's not going to work anymore.
Yeah. I mean, admittedly, whenever I see the flag at half-mast, it always makes me question, like, okay, what day is it? What happened today?
Right. Right. Is this like a typical day that we have a half-mast thing, or did something terrible happen and I don't know about it because I avoid the news like the plague?
Yeah. It's one of those that it does make it easy for somebody who doesn't follow the news like 100%. At least not every day. It is kind of nice, but it's just convenient, I guess. I don't know. On the larger scale, no, it doesn't really do anything.
No, it doesn't do anything. But at least they admitted wrong, I guess. Fucking 30 years later.
Yeah.
Not really 30, but close to it.
And I'm sorry I don't have a happy end. There really is no happy end to this bullshit.
No, there isn't, because, oh man, that got grim.
We're still going, it would be one thing if, his death was to spark, the
battle has not been won.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, the war,
even if we cover, MLK, it would feel the same.
Yeah.
But that being said, if you guys have any recommendations for people that you should know that we don't know because we just never learn,
yes, please.
Then fuck it. Let's go for it. So
send it to cwtabout@gmail.com or go to our Twitter. What was it? CWTabout? I think I got it, right?
Yeah.
That's what it was. Because, yes. Or any questions you have, suggested stuff you want us to cover that you've always wanted to know about or know more about or have questions about. Simple things, complex things.
Yeah, well,
any of them.
It's feeling a lot more comfortable, doing this kind of shit. I love doing it now.
Oh, yeah, me too. Well, and I mean, you never know what sort of simple question will end up being way more because corn.
Because corn.
If this is your first episode, find the corn episode.
For God's sakes, yeah.
I'm going to add one thing about corn, actually, just because, a little bit of levity, but also because it blew my freaking mind. I want you to know that if you took a corn on the cob and you put it in a bowl with an inch of water, it's going to turn into a bunch of corn plants. Just like that. Just next time you get corn on the cob, grab an extra cob, throw it in a bowl with an inch of water, and leave it there for a week. And you're going to come back and be a little weirded out at how it looks. But there's going to be a bunch of stalks of corn coming out of your corn. You're welcome.
I just imagine you having an armada of just corn in plastic tub.
I thought about doing it and then just transferring each one into, not this year. I'm just starting with a few and seeing what I can make happen. But
you're going to hand it out to kids?
Boy, I'll just be that weird lady down the street. They'll come home with corn and be like,
take your corn, kids.
Larry, where'd you get this corn? Oh, Mom, this lady down the street wearing a weird dress.
If you want to find me, which would be weird, but if you want to, you can find me at XXX Johnny5 XXX. That's for Lee Chess and I believe Twitch. Yeah, and then if you want to find me on fucking Reddit and chess.com, you can find me at I am the Johnny5. Where can they find you?
You can find me at CatEaterr on a bunch of stuff. CatEaterr or The Real CatEaterr. And then also you can find us at cwtabout@gmail.com and cwtabout, I think, on Twitter. I'll double check myself. I'm not feeling good about that. But, yeah. Love ya.